Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. In this video we are going to know about the round robin scheduling algorithm, and so it is basically a time shared system, and here the main criteria is the time quantum. So each process will get a chance to execute for a time quantum with a time limit. Okay, plus we are having the criteria as the arrival time. Okay. See, here the round robin scheduling means the first come first serve scheduling algorithm. If it is given as a preemptive state, then it will act as a round robin scheduling algorithm. Okay, and that's why the mode here is preemptive, and it is a time shared system. That means here, if suppose in a system there are 5 processes, then each and every process will get equal chance to execute. Whereas in the case of the first come first serve scheduling algorithm, uh, a process which arrives first is only allowed to execute first. Suppose if the first process is having the lengthier burst time, then the remaining process has to start. So to avoid this drawback, we are going to use a round robin scheduling algorithm. And this scheduling algorithm is especially for the time sharing systems. And in this algorithm, the CPU will switch between the process. When the time quantum is expired, the CPU will switch to another job. A small unit of time called time quantum or time slice is allotted here, generally from generally in the format of the milliseconds. The time quantum is generally depending on the operating system. So in this algorithm, the ready queue is a circular queue. So new process are added to the tail of the ready queue. Okay, so the new process is added to the tail of the ready queue. The CPU scheduler picks the first process from the ready queue and sets a timer to interrupt after a particular time quantum or time limit and dispatches the process. Okay. See, one of the two things will happen in this algorithm. If the process may have a CPU burst of less than one time quantum, then the process will release the CPU voluntarily. Right? That means the process has finished the execution. Okay. In the particular time, uh, if the time quantum is less than the process execution time or burst time, and the scheduler will then proceed to the next process in the ready queue. Otherwise, if the CPU burst time of the currently running process is longer than one time quantum, then the process will be put at the tail of the ready queue. So the CPU scheduler will then select the process in the ready queue. So let us consider a small example here. So here 4 persons are sitting on a circular table here. Right, we have told you that round robin scheduling algorithm works in the format of the circular. The ready queue will be in the format of the circular queue. Every person will get a chance to speak about their views on a particular topic. Okay, so each and every person is allowed to speak for 2 minutes. Okay, so for 2 minutes of time, so like that, so he can share the views of a particular topic here. Okay, so let us consider the problem for understanding about this algorithm. Here the time quantum is taken as the 4 milliseconds. Okay, so the process ID P1, P2, P3, P4, P5 and P6. Okay, so first of all we are having the ready queue here. We are going to note down the process with the ready queue. Okay, so first, so the process with the arrival time 0 is P1. So the P1 will enter the Gantt chart here. It will be allowed to execute for time quantum. What is the time quantum here? 4 millisecond is the time quantum. So it will execute for 4 milliseconds. Okay, so it will reduce the burst time by 1. Right, 5 minus 4 is 1. So it has executed for 4 units of time and the remaining time is 1 unit of time. So at the time 4, what are the process that has entered the ready queue? Okay, so P2, P3, P4 and P5. So these are the process that has entered the ready queue. P2, P3, P4 and P5. So these are the process that has arrived at the ready queue. Okay, and P1 has finished the execution, so it will be placed in the tail of the ready queue. Okay, so P1 is taken to the tail of the ready queue. Okay, and P2 will execute next. So we know that the ready queue will be in the format of the circular queue. Okay, so if the P1 has finished the execution and if there is a context switch, it will be placed in the tail of the ready queue. So P2 will execute for 4 minutes of time. So 6 minus 4 is 2. So the remaining time is 2. Okay, and P2 will execute for 4 minutes of time, that is 8. So the time is 8. So next at the time arrival time at the time limit 8. So what are the processes that are available in the ready queue? So P6 has also entered the ready queue, right? So P6 has entered the ready queue. Okay, so P6 is available at the ready queue. So here P2 has finished the execution for 4 minutes of time, so it will be placed in the tail of the ready queue. Okay, so next P3 is allowed to execute here. So P3 is allowed to execute for, so the time limit given is 4 units of time, but the time here given is less than the time quantum. So that's why the process release the CPU voluntarily. So it will execute for 3 milliseconds of time and it will finish its execution. So P3 is going to execute for 3 minutes of time. So 9, 10 and 11. Okay. So P3 will be taken out from the queue here. So P3 has finished the execution. Next P4. Okay, so that's why we are not pressing it in the end of the ready queue tail. So next P4 will execute. So P4 will execute for how many units of time? 1. So here it is 0 and here also it will become 0. So it will execute for 1 unit of time. So that is 12. So next P5, right? So P4 has finished the execution. P5. So P5 is taken for execution. So P5 will execute for 4 units of time and the remaining time is 1. So 12 plus 4 is 16. Okay. And then P6 is the next, sorry. So P5 has finished the execution. So now P5 will be placed in the end of the ready queue. Okay. So P5 is placed in the end of the ready queue. Okay. Is the P1. So P1 is taken here. For 1 minute of time, so it will become 0. 17. So next it has finished the execution. Okay, now P6 is the next process. P6, P2 and P5 are the available process. So P6 will be allowed to execute here. So P6 given the time is 4 units of time. So P6 is allowed to execute for 4 units of time, that is 18, 19, 20 and 21. Okay, and P6 has finished the execution completely, so it will become 0. Okay, so now what are the remaining process available here? P2 and P5, right? So P2 will be allowed to execute here for how much units of time? 2 units of time. Since the burst time available is less than time quantum, so we are going to execute it. Okay, so based on the given time. So if the burst time is less than the time quantum, then so we are going to execute based on the based on the burst time only. So P2, 2 units of time it will execute, that is 23. Next P2 has finished the execution here, so it will become 0. Now what is the process that are available here? P5. So P5 will be allowed to execute, right? So it will execute for 1 unit of time, that is 24. Okay, so like this we are going to have finished the execution. Now all the process has finished the execution based on the round robin scheduling algorithm. Okay, so here the time quantum is 4 milliseconds I have taken. You can try this same problem with the time quantum 2 milliseconds and 3 milliseconds and 1 millisecond, and you can see the difference here. Okay, so in the case of, if you reduce the time quantum, then the context switching time will increase here. Okay, so if you are going to increase the time quantum, then the context switching will be more. But here I am taking the more time quantum, right? That's why the context switching is less. Okay, and if you are going to increase the time quantum uh, like that, more, I mean, if you are going to take more than 4 milliseconds, then it will become first come first serve scheduling algorithm. It will act somewhat like first come first serve scheduling algorithm. Okay, so if the time quantum is less, then more number of context switching will happen and the response time will decrease. Similarly, if the time quantum is less than is less if the time quantum is less than, the number of context switches will increase and the response time will decrease, right? If suppose you are taking more number of, I mean, time, the time quantum is if you are taking a big number, then it will act as first come first serve scheduling algorithm. Okay, so now let us calculate the completion time, turnaround time and waiting time of the given process. Okay, so for the P1 we have to take the recent one, so that is 17. Don't take the 4 value for P1, so you have to take the final value. Here the completion time is 17, and for P2 it is 23, right? And for P3 it is 11, and for P4 it is 12, and for P5 it is 24, and for P6 it is 21, right? 21. Okay, and for turnaround time, so turnaround time I have to calculate here. So turnaround time is, how to calculate turnaround time? Completion time minus arrival time, that is 17 minus 0, 17, 23 minus 1, 22, and 11 minus 2, that is 9, and 12 minus 3, that is 9, and 24 minus 4, 20, and 21 minus 5, that is 16. Okay, and then waiting time. So waiting time is turnaround time minus burst time. So 17 minus 5, that is 12. Okay, similarly 22 minus 20, so 22 minus 6, that is 16, and then 9 minus 3, that is 6, and 9 minus 1, 8, 20 minus 5, 15, and 16 minus 4, that is 12. Okay, so this is how we are going to calculate the turnaround time and waiting time. Now we have to find the average turnaround time and average waiting time. So average turnaround time, we have to calculate the sum of the turnaround time of all the process by 6. Okay, then we can get the average turnaround time. So here average turnaround time is 93 by 6, and the average waiting time is sum of all these process by 6. So that is the 69 by 6. Okay, so like this we are going to get the average turnaround time and average waiting time of this given example. So this is about the round robin scheduling algorithm, and thanks for watching my video. Please do like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.